If you like the video, please consider supporting James Corp on Patreon. Hello everyone, and welcome to a little special thing that we're going to be doing, which is a Symbaroum game once a month on a Sunday. This is going to be the character creation, like session 0 type thing, or week 0, or whatever you want to call it. Some familiar faces, some faces you've never seen. I'm going to go around the table, get people to introduce themselves, and then we'll jump to Scott, who's the GM, and he will explain what we're doing. I'm James Chambers, and I am. This is Chambers of Roleplay, and I am the host with the most. J-Wall.
Hi, I'm J-Wall. I am a person of the internet, as you may realise by now. You can find me some places and occasionally more places. Yeah, there's not much to say. I like paladins, so, there's a good chance I'll lean towards the Templar in this. We'll see if someone can sway my mind.
All right, cool. Gus?
Yeah, I'm Gus. I'm a person who's not on the internet much, so you won't be able to track me down anywhere. Looking to have some fun in a system I've not played before, but having briefly gone through the core rule book, it looks like a lot of fun.
All right, Philip?
I am Philip, and I'm also not on the internet, so you can't find me. But I'll try to play this normal game for once.
Why, do you not play normal games then?
Oh, no. Star Wars isn't a norm.
Cool. Danny?
Hello, my name is Danny. I'm, play in the other side. I'm, the game master. It's going to be one of the few times I'm a player, so it's going to be interesting to be in this side. I'm on Thursdays on James Corp's channel playing Warhammer.
Thank you. And last but not least, the maestro himself, Scott.
Hi there. My name's Scott. I pretty much my presence on the internet is through most of James's games that I played on. Other than that, I really don't do much. But I mean, I am at Hail Orcus Dorcas on Twitter. It primarily consists of me posting books I get and geeking out on other role-playing stuff and trying to keep things civil out there in the world. So looking forward to running. This will be the first time running Symbaroum. Been spending quite a bit of time this past few weeks reviewing the game, getting to know the lore, trying to embrace what it's all about, and looking forward to it. Definitely see a lot of good things and horrible things happening in the next few weeks. So
Symbaroum is going to be basically once last Sunday of every month.
Right.
So where we normally do Mutant Year 0, it will now be that will be basically every Sunday apart from the last Sunday of the month, which is when we'll be playing Symbaroum. So maybe it will be a little bit more disjointed, but it is still technically a free league game, so it is still fitting with my theme for Sunday. But yes, please, Scott, please explain to us peasants who don't know what Symbaroum is. Which is probably just me.
Symbaroum essentially is a dark fantasy role-playing game that takes place in a world where a large population to the south of the fantasy world here are fleeing a ravaged and war-torn land. Several years of battles, desecrations, atrocities have occurred as they were fighting the forces of an unknown force called the Dark Lord within the book. They don't really touch on it too much because they're focusing on their flights from there as these people several years ago as refugees came into the lands over a set of mountains called the Titans, where they met a group of natives there. It's a land filled with barbarians, elves, goblins, ogres, and such. And it focused on their colonialist conquest of this land and conquering of those worlds as they leave their homeland behind. The characters, though, themselves will play a variety of of archetypes and races as they decide their place within this world. The key focus of the game, though, is a large forest area of Davokar. Centuries ago, there was a nation called Symbaroum that essentially came under some sort of unknown apocalyptic, catalytic, not really sure, but it's essentially declined, fell, and the forest overtook this land. But because of that, there is tales of treasure, tales of adventure, but also tales of mysteries and death, as not even just the perimeter of this forest has been explored. So you guys will essentially be establishing yourselves as either protectorates of the land, representatives of the local people, or just general treasure hunters trying to make your way through this life, traversing the parts of the forest, trying to find gold and fame. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. But it is so much more in depth as the lore is dense, but the lore we'll discover as we go through the game. So I hope that does a decent job, and I'm not going to get complaints from the publishers or the author. So we'll go ahead and start then with J-Wall. As far as and for those of you who either have the book or the PDF up, just to make things a little bit easier for reference, if you want to go ahead and head to page, just essentially starting at 72, but 74 is where primarily character creation starts. So one of the things you want to focus on is you're going to focus on not just your character's goal, but keep an idea of once everyone has established who they might want to be in their archetype, we want to come together with also a general group goal, so to speak. Nothing specific. We don't need a 5-page background story. There are examples in here, literally, are just a couple words or a simple sentence, but it's just something to, kind of bring everyone together. As far as what they're looking for as a group. Now, your background, once your characters are established and we start the adventure, it's the Promised Land is part one of a 4-part introductory game. It's designed to introduce you to the mechanics, to the world, to the lore, and kind of make you comfortable before we get into the meatiness of the other aspects of the game. Certain things within here aren't just kicking down doors and dungeons and looking for treasure and killing monsters, but it's a big part of it. But there's also a large diplomatic aspect as the game itself deals with the intrigues of the court, the intrigues of the various issues between the natives here and the Ambrian people, so to speak, who have come over to conquer this land. So there's a lot of Game of Thrones-esque things involved, whether it be on the perimeter or right in the middle of your group. So it's going to touch on that. But one of the things to think about is when we do the Promised Land, you're going to essentially have a couple options. Will your character be one of the ones that might be in the process of fleeing the war-torn lands, coming over the Titans into the new Promised Land, or have already been established there for a little bit, and then with that option you will be assisting those who are coming. So that will kind of generally tie together why your group is who you are and why you're together. So that's primarily just the one big thing to consider. So J-Wall, archetypes. I heard you like paladins. Unfortunately, there's no.
It's been rumored.
Yeah, there's no paladins, so to speak, here, but
there's Templars.
Templars tend to carry a different connotation in most games, but we'll roll with it. So So you're looking at the Templar archetype. And so I'll let you go on then. Cover race, just a general idea of who you're looking. What your the personality or the aspects of your character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I'm looking at Templar or Captain. Both would probably. I pick similar-ish options for either of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd be human, Ambrian.
Okay.
I would probably be from there already, so I'd be helping those fleeing.
Okay.
I suppose what else more is I'd say?
Well, I mean, there's other things to just kind of. I mean, we can either touch on this during character creation or process because it's part of it. I mean, the general personality type. I think are you going for? I mean, when you're dealing with paladins, obviously we know there's the lawful good, goody two shoes. There's the there's the confused. I'm trying to do good, but this is an oppressive good. Or are you going to be the no one expects the Spanish Inquisition type Templar? So.
Yeah, the description of Templars in the Advanced Player's Guide. So,
Okay.
the Church of Prios and its representatives are protected by the Knights of Dying Sun, heavily armed and with the fire of faith burning behind their breastplates. The power of faith makes the armor of the Sun Knights harder than steel. Their mere presence repels abominations by the sheer radiance of their conviction or by weapons burning with Prios' holy rage. Lately, a schism is said to have grown between the commander of the Templars and the Church's curia in Templewall. Initially, the dispute was about how to handle the ancient Sun Temple found close to Karvosti. Apparently, there are other ideological differences between the Knights of Dying Sun and that of the Church in general. That's effectively it.
So it's very similar in theme to essentially the Templars in our world. They are a branch of the religion. And a quick note for those who may not know that technically they've become a monotheistic religion, the Ambrians at least, as far as the singular god that they're now, most of them are worshiping because due to the backstory within the realm. But so to speak, the key aspect to this god, which this is maybe a little meta, I don't know if it's in the players out of it, is even though that people are focusing on this single aspect of this god, what is little known is that this god may be dying due to lack of worship. No one's really sure, but the church is presenting as everything as well. But as you can kind of take from the key name of the Templars, the dying sun, they may they're representing something that may not be well known to the populace and may not be really looked upon by the church itself, because they don't want them to know that their god is dying. So yeah. But so anything else to add, J-Wall? So as far as the Templar itself, I mean, like you said, it can go several different ways. Just generally speaking, if what is it that you're trying to, your goal with your version of the Templar or Captain?
Yeah. So I suppose my character would have a goal to definitely keep the wider populace safe from the evils of Davokar.
Okay.
Aid the refugees that are fleeing. And that probably comes hand in hand, I would think. I suppose, as many Templars, Paladin type roles would just do it in the name of their god and what they believe to be right.
Okay. Yeah, and mind you, even though most of the characters here will have an established background as far as your profession, you're going to be relatively new. So I mean, and it's virtuous. This is how I see things to be. That's a lot of background aspects when it comes to religious characters. It's like everything is fine, but as they grow into their profession and they find how the church and inner workings work, conflicts can occur. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with being green in the beginning when it comes to things like that. But that's just my opinion. You could obviously everyone's welcome to do anything they want with their characters as long as it's within the core ideals of the game. So great. Okay. So anything else to add besides that, or?
I mean, so character would probably develop along the lines of he's aware of there definitely being conflict
Mhm.
between the church and the knights, disagreements at least,
Okay.
and probably discovers more of that through play.
Mhm.
And at some point, we'll effectively have to make a decision.
Excellent. Excellent. A quick side reference note to that. There's a fantastic book that kind of deals with that aspect called Priest. It's by Matt Colville of Matt Colville, YouTube fame. He's written a couple books on that, Priest, Thief, and maybe another one. But Priest, I bought just on a whim. But it does a real good job of dealing with the religious aspect of a cleric in a fantasy world, and him dealing between his personal issues and the issues with the church. So it's a great reference point for that. Okay, and I just want to get it right. Philip or Philippe? Which way is it? Philip. Okay, yeah. Perfect.
I was thinking about playing a goblin shaman or green weaver.
Okay.
So depending on the archetype, so symbolist or mystic.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly focused on healing people. So that's the general idea.
Okay. And as far as established, the natives of the land, they were still made aware. And they still existed in the lands to the south. They weren't, prominent in any way. But as far as making a choice between would you be from the party assisting the refugees or a refugee yourself, that's still open, regardless if you're human or whatever.
Yeah, if we are refugees, or if I'm a refugee, it's probably because the goblin was born on in the south, so he's trying to see his ancient land, so he was going back, or he could be just hired to help the civilians running away as a medic. So either way is fine with me.
Okay, perfect.
So it's probably will be some sort of the shaman, depending on what party requires. It will be more control-y type, or it will be just healer. So it's a goblin. It will be short-living creature that wants to spend the small amount of time the best he can. Goblins are short-lived, and they want to do everything quickly.
But as far as like a dreamweaver shaman, naturalistic medicine, ritualistic spells, something that is more inclined with tribal type characters rather than the established human Ambrium. So, but that's kind of the general aspect of the archetype without going into too much of the lore details of it. So yeah. So anything else, Philip?
I think that's it for now.
Okay. All right, Gus.
Yes. Obviously, scan through the archetypes, get a feel for possible character ideas, and I've decided what I'd like to try and play something in my many years of tabletop role-playing games. I've never played an out-and-out designated archer, so I'm thinking leaning towards an archer type character, maybe a scout, a woodsman type. Not going for the stereotypical ranger, but someone who's able to survive outdoors using his bow, maybe a bit of stealth, tracking. So it does sound very much like a ranger, which is stereotypical ranger with a bow but without the animals.
Okay.
So that kind of feel like a woodsman and outdoorsman type character, and thinking Ambrian. I'm probably a native of the region, and possible character motivation and which would tie in with the outdoorsman scout tracker type thing, is looking for a missing person.
Okay.
Who at the moment I've no idea who they are, but just as something to put out there, maybe a reason for eventually going further into the Forest of Davokar.
Okay.
Maybe that's where they disappeared.
So in the advanced, there's there's the ranger, but also in the advanced players guide, there's also a hunter. So we can kind of scope on those as as far as suggestions. I mean, obviously anything can be swapped out. Other thing to consider, since you were looking for something, is, and it's doesn't take away from your actual weapon abilities, but there's also in the advanced, there's also a bounty hunter. So if you're looking for someone, we can also look at those if there's any abilities that might assist with that as far as that background is concerned. So, but yeah, so within the game, just like us discussed, hunter, rangers. I mean, other than the worlds that they're living in, those fall under your kind of standard type archetypes throughout most RPGs. So it's not like someone calls it a ranger and you're like and it's totally different. It's just ranger by name. Most of these in here do fall under the standard, and everyone here probably knows what a ranger is like. So, but excellent. So we have you as a native, so you'll be part of assisting those who are coming over, and hunter, scout, and Ambrian. Excellent. So far, before we move on to Danny, we've got just to recap, we've got an Ambrian Templar, who is essentially part of a subsect of the religion. Certain conflicts between that, he's going to be helping refugees cross over to the Promised Land. Then we have a goblin shaman or dreamweaver type thing, naturalistic, ritualistic medicine. Born from the south, and will be part of those coming, but in assistance also, as either a healer or anything regarding that aspect, either healing or even it could even be spiritual support. And then finally we have Gus, who is looking to be an archer, scout type archetype, Ambrian native, who will be also assisting with the refugees coming over. So, Danny.
Yeah. I'm almost same as Cos, but I'm a barbarian. I'm a barbarian ranger from the Odaioba tribes, and the Odaioba tribes are the ones close from the little town, the border town to the forest.
Yep.
Since they are the ones with more, what's the name? They are more used to the Ambrians. I'm guessing I've been, sent by the chieftain or by somebody in the tribe to assist the party into go inside the Davokar forest. My concept of character is a little bit of a not talkative, very much stealth and in tune with the forest, but not very persuasive, very weak. It's but with a lot of knowledge about the surroundings and stuff like that.
Okay. So you're essentially, so you're gonna be probably the only one here who has more of the Davokar experience, even if it's just on the perimeter. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe be more like a guide kind
Okay.
of. Yeah.
Excellent. So you're established, but you're still going to be helping them over the Titans to the south. So as far as what would bring you over to assist, that can be something that can be. It doesn't need to be nailed to the board, but something to consider as the barbarian ranger heading south over the Titans to help bring people over is not out of character, but it's just one of those things where it's more of an exception type thing. So there's
I could maybe be like I don't know how barbarians work. I'm guessing they're kind of like a free people, but maybe I'm like in servitude to some character, perhaps.
barbarians kind of tread the water in a lot of areas. There are the ones who are subservient to Ambrians. There are the free barbarians, but then there's also barbarians who just got totally disgusted with both. They couldn't handle their tribes taking a knee, but nor do they want to join some of the radical tribes because of their dealings with other things, with other aspects of the world. And there's ones who have just said, I've had enough, I'm striking off on my own, or they're going to establish a different tribe. So it's open, it's really open to interpretation.
I'm guessing he's from Odaiova. I'm guessing they're used to the Ambrians, so perhaps I could think about like servitude kind of barbarian.
Right. I mean, we're not saying that it would not even like a it would be more like you might have a patron of sorts.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Excellent. So any questions on this as far as everyone seems it's a fairly diverse group. We do have we primarily human, but we do have the goblin, which is excellent. And as far as classes, and it seems very diverse here. So now we come to James. So
okay. I think everything's covered, isn't it? We've got someone who can fight. We've got some people that can shoot. We've got a magic key user. So I'm eyeing up the treasure hunter.
Okay.
I could read this little bit. It says the depths of Davokar hide many treasures. To locate, salvage, and return them to civilization is your bread and butter. You dream of overgrown ruins and fantasize about sunken temples. Unlike many others, you have proven yourself willing to risk your life in order to succeed. You have developed an impressive set of skills in order to do just that, and there are a few situations within Davokar for which you have not prepared a strategy. So maybe I'm someone coming to Davokar because he's heard rumours of hundreds of ruins in Davokar.
Right. And as far as, if you're coming as a refugee from the Titans, a war-torn land, there's whole villages that have been decimated and left to rot, which is essentially, the beginnings of, the treasure hunters going into dungeons hundreds of years later. So a lot of those skills you may have, obtained scouring the lands to the south. So, but there's nothing there. So yeah, that would be, so you're heading over to the Titans. You're literally the one who's actually coming for the promised land, the ideals of treasure and maybe adventure. And, no one is aware of exactly what the forest really is until they see it.
You know what? What? That belongs in a museum.
Yeah. So I will give you a suggestion for a name, which I tend to prefer for anyone who goes with any sort of Indiana Jones archetype. Harrison Fjord, Fjord.
No.
Fine. I guess I'm the only one who enjoys that.
I was going to go for California Smith.
I did have a gnome archaeologist called Indiana Gnomes.
Oh.
In a one shot at a convention. Yeah.
No, I don't think. I mean, he's probably doing it for. It's probably more profit orientated rather than it belongs to the museum.
No, I mean, and that's a character type, arc that could occur. So, but did you say, James, you were going to be Ambrian, essentially human, or one of the one of the ogre, goblin, or
human, because he doesn't want to. Yeah, I don't want to stand out too much. Do you know what I mean? I want to.
Yep. Perfect.
That's what species I'm going to play. Human.
Okay, so we have 3 Ambrians. Well, technically Ambrian is more of a generic term, but we have 3 Ambrian humans. We have a barbarian human, and then 1 goblin. We are going to have 1 two. Let's see. Two that is it. If I wrote it down incorrectly, I'm wrong. We're going to have 3 assisting and 2 coming. Is that right? We've got Philippe, who is heading from the south. James coming from the south. J-Wall, who will be a native assisting with the refugees. The barbarian, obviously, assisting with the refugees. And Gus, I didn't write it down. Oh yeah, you are a native Ambrian too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So here's where it's probably going to go fairly quickly. So the character creation, for those of you who haven't read it, but it seems everyone has, is a point buy system. So typically they already have a distribution table set up for you where you can just fill in the cracks, or as you see, it looks like the sheet does have a 80 total there, and probably subtract as you add to it. So, actually, no, it doesn't. It's got the base there. But so, how would you like to do this? Do you want to do the distribution or the actual point buy? It can. So, if you're going to distribute it, just so you know, only one attribute value may be as high as 15, but none can be higher than 15 or lower than 5 upon character creation.
Sorry, so I can so that people who are watching can understand.
Mm-hmm.
So how many points do we start with, and what are and if you was talking about distributions, what do you mean by distributions?
So there, in the point buy system, you're going to have 80 points to start with.
Oh, okay.
So as you can see on the character sheet, they've set it just straight 10, 10, 10 down the board.
Yeah.
But as you can either increase or decrease them, none can be higher than 15, none can be lower than 5 upon character creation. Or if you want to use they already have a typical distribution value of 5, 7, 9, 10, 10, 11, 13, and 15, which you could place, within the various abilities here. Now, if you want me to just quickly go over what the different abilities are and what because the wording here is a little bit different, but they still fall under a lot of these standard abilities as far as within other RPGs.
So what would everyone prefer? Would everyone prefer to do point buy, or would you rather do the distribution?
To be fair, the distribution does say you can always just switch things around anyway, so it's effectively the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it's in page 100, Scott.
So it might be easier just to use the distribution, and then if you want to tweak things afterwards, add a point here, take one off somewhere else.
Yeah, distribution is a good start. So.
Okay, so here we go. So just real quick, here are the different attributes. So accurate, which is essentially characters' hand-eye coordination. I'm not going to read the whole paragraph because we're all established gamers here, so we kind of get a general idea. So accurate hand-eye coordination. The opposing aspect to accurate would be someone's quick. Cunning represents your character's wit and knowledge, kind of like common sense. Its opposing action is cunning isn't really tested against specific, it's just tested against a level of difficulty. So we'll go over what that means later on. But so discreet is your aptitude for and training in being silent. Agile, and it says here jokingly and well, discreet. Pervasive or persuasive, charisma, influence others by use of words, voice, body language, and looks. Quick represents your reflexes, balance, nimbleness, and how fleet of foot. Resolute is your resistance to influence, so peer pressure. Hey, smoke this. No, man. And also mind-altering magic and corruption. Strong mirrors your capacity for physical strength. Vigilant is your general awareness, your attunement to your senses, and capability to detect things in your surroundings. So they all kind of have this. Some of them are divided up as opposed, like dexterity would fall under different categories in other games, but they all are pretty much representative of standard role-playing game abilities. And Gus, I know you were. Let's see, Gus, do you have access to? Did I give you access to the Advanced Player's Guide PDF? Because in there will help you if you're looking to go. If you weren't looking to go with the Ranger archetype, but more the Scout Hunter. If you don't have it, I can give that to you right now.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, perfect.
If you check Discord,
Oh, did I pin it to the top of the Discord? I may have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
maybe you might have done, or you might have not.
Yeah, I think I did. Let's see here, pinned.
Okay, gonna have to cut that bit out.
Yeah. So if you're on the Discord, Gus.
Yeah, I've got it, Scott. Cheers.
Perfect. And the hunter is on page starts on 10 for the archetypes in the Advanced Player's Guide. So.
All right, I've distributed my attributes already.
Okay. So yeah, so I guess we'll go with that. I mean, this is kind of like a silent process, James. So what do you do in this in regards when people are doing this thing?
Just let people do it, and I'll
Okay.
cut, and I can potentially cut this bit out.
Okay.
Okay.
Just tell everyone to let you know when they're done. Like, so I'm done.
I'm done.
So James told me to have you guys let me know when you're done.
I can read out my. I mean, it might be worth like reading through my. So I chose 5 inaccurates, 15 in cunning, 11 in discreet, 10 in persuasion, 13 of quick, 10 of resolve, 9 of strong, 7 of vigilance.
And are you following the archetype suggestions in the book? Or
Yes.
Are you kind of taking a little turn with it? Okay. All right. No
Yes.
problem.
So because it
Sorry.
said that my cunning should be 13 plus, so I put the 15 in my cunning, and my
Okay.
quick should be 11 plus, so I put my quick. So they were the 2 highest attributes I picked.
Okay.
From the
Should are we allowed to move some points from the allocation, or
Yes.
or you want to go
yeah.
with the 5, 7, 9?
No, you can move around. It's
Okay.
entirely up to you, Danny. Yeah, I mean the typical distribution is merely suggestive, but I
Okay.
mean, yeah, feel free to fine tune your character. And like I said, we
Okay.
have a few weeks left. It's something that can be tweaked, between
Okay.
now and then.
So I have 11 in accurate, 13 in cunning, 11 in discreet. I have 5 in persuasive, 10 quick, 10 resolute, 5 strong, and 15 vigilant.
Okay.
I could have more than 1 in 5, right?
As long as it adds up to 80, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
it can't fall below 5 or go over 15.
No, that's okay.
Okay, so mine's done.
Okay.
So I have 10 inaccurate, 10 cunning, 5 discreet, 12 persuasive, 6 quick, 13 resolute, 15 strong, and 9 vigilant.
I'm done too.
Okay.
I got 5 inaccurate, 13 in cunning, 11 in discreet, 7 in persuasive, quick 10, resolute 15. Yeah, spellcasters have to. Strong 9 and vigilant 10.
Okay.
What's the difference between symbolist and mystic archetypes?
So mystic and symbolist.
Yeah.
Where are you seeing
Symbolist is advanced book,
Oh, okay.
page 25.
Got it.
Symbolist looks more like tribal.
Well, technically, the symbolist falls under the mystic category. It's the subcategory. So
Okay.
mystic is technically the generalistic term for spellcaster, whether they be religious or whatever the other abilities that you choose. So symbolist is essentially just a grouping of abilities boons and whatnot that come together to form this particular archetype.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, this would be very similar to other games that would fall under kind of like a rune caster. You're using symbols and runes and tattoos and aspect that would probably be your focal point of where you're getting your power from, as opposed to just raw magical energy, studying the mystic arts, or pulling from your god.
Okay, but functions more or less the same.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah. So the important attributes. It focuses on the attributes. It gives you, as far as within the game. I mean, just briefly reading on it, it's a suspect. Something that would be more focused on. This is a localized spellcaster. This would not be something that would have existed to the south, and likewise would probably. You would, if you're not from a barbarian aspect, that's where you would have learned it from.
Okay.
But not that it wouldn't be exclusive to barbarians, but it would be more exclusive to a lot of the natives of the land, or the older races.
Yeah. But mechanically, they're more or less the same. Yeah.
Right. So under mystical power, it's you're going to choose protective runes. It's suggestion. So this kind of falls into the, if you're looking to, this is what you'll pick something, and then if if we get a moment to read more in depth, it's swapping it out if necessary.
Yeah,
so.
I found on the page pretty. It's Green Weaver or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's goblin oriented.
Okay.
So it's a good start.
Yeah, this is one of those games where, there's a lot of lore and specialization involved to kind of just sit and absorb, and even if you go through it once, it's like, this is not the, warrior, priest, thief, wizard. Those are your choices. But one of my favorite things about this, and a lot of their stuff, is it's easy to get absorbed within the game because of the artwork. The artwork does a lot to draw you in and kind of give you the feeling of the game and the type of archetype and person that you're trying to create. It makes it very, very easy, at least for me.
Do they have surnames in this, or is that not a thing that they generally have?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there are suggested names under the race, but there'll be surnames. But things like trolls, they and goblins, some of those don't really have them, but more as far as the humans, the barbarians, barbarians tend to fall under so and so, son of so and so, whereas the Ambrian conquerors would actually have traditional surnames like ours. But once again, it's not going to the naming concept is not going to take away from the ambience of the game, unless it's like doing the the online aspect, Dickhead 101 or something like that.
You're an Ambrian, weren't you, James?
Huh?
You're an Ambrian?
Yeah.
Yeah, so save for nobles for the houses, the people of Ambria do not use family names.
Okay.
Unless they're like a remarkable or famous individual.
Okay. I'm not famous yet.
You have to earn your name, James.
But if you were trying to pretend to be famous,
Yeah.
True.
Pretending to be a famous treasure hunter.
Yep.
Then you can use Fjord.
Oh, that's good. That means Jay can't put a bunch of fucking apostrophes in his name.
Unfortunately. Ambrian names are not the most complicated.
no.
I've already got a name as well, so look at that. Has everyone done attributes, by the way?
Yeah, I was the last one to finish, but I've done mine.
Okay.
If you're really that interested, I will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Accurate 10, cunning 12, discreet 12, persuasive 5, quick 13, resolute 8, strong 5, and vigilant 15.
Excellent. Okay. So next we've got abilities. So within your archetype, they're going to have the suggested abilities. So we can go ahead and go with that, but abilities do start on page 112 of the book. And so they'll give you the base descriptions. For sake of time, if you want, we can just put the name in, and then we can fill in the actual information from the book, because it's. But whatever ability you take is going to start at the novice level, and each ability goes between novice, adept, and master.
How do you level up abilities?
Within the game, there's rewards and experience points at the end of every session, and then as far as the
like how much cost from novice to advance to adept, or is it different from different abilities, or
Is it 10, 20, 30?
did you find it, Gus?
I'm just going off my head. I think it might be 10 for novice, 20. But don't quote me, because I'm probably got that completely wrong.
So when it says appropriate abilities, can we pick?
So I already picked abilities. It says that you can start the game with 2 novice and 1 adept, or you can choose to have 5 novice.
Right.
So I have picked 5 novice. Beast lore, which means that I know a little bit of how animal, the monsters and their stats, weakness, and strength. Marksman with, I think it let me use it gave me a 1d10 instead of 1d8 using my bow. Then I picked Sixth Sense, and Sixth Sense let me use my vigilant instead of accurate to use my range of weapons. Lore Master Novice, which gives me a little bit of lore by passing, I think it's a conning test. And then Medicus Novice, which let me heal some.
So within the game, like Danny said, so you can take 2 novice and 1 adept. The suggested or the appropriate abilities, those aren't canon. Those are just kind of appropriate abilities if you're wanting to mirror this particular archetype as suggested within game. But abilities are, swap it out for whatever you like. I mean, it's the flavor of this game is you make your character have what you want. But it's just the appropriate abilities would be, like for Ranger, it's suggesting acrobat, beast lore, marksman, or Sixth Sense. So essentially, for example, you could take acrobat, beast lore, and then if you want to be adept and marksman, that would be the end of your ability. The abilities you would pick, or you would pick 5 novice ones. So once again, looking at Ranger, it's only giving you 4 suggestions. So if you made all of those novice, you would still pick a 5th one, whatever you want.
And shall we name the trait too, or shall we base it?
There are traits for the races. Yeah. So if you look under race, there are races available, for each particular race.
I pick bushcraft, which makes give me the possibility to try to find water and food on the forest.
Bushcraft.
Okay. Bushcraft. Yeah.
James, you can edit this. That's what they called me in high school.
Bushcraft.
Bushcraft, yeah.
Why?
We won't go there. I don't want you to have to edit out half the video. So.
Okay.
That's for a special Patreon only members area.
So this, so
Sorry.
the treasure hunter's suggested abilities are really weird. Like you'd think Lawmaster would be like on there, but it's not. It's really, they've got. So the suggested ones: acrobatic, alchemy, still throw, and tactician. Does that? Why would the why would the treasure hunter not know what he's looking for?
I think lore master is more like you remember details and lore about things. You even as a treasure hunter, you probably don't know what the new things that you're discovering are. So
I found this. Yeah, that's a potato peeler used by the ancients. Oh, well, is it worth anything? Couple of pence. Awesome. All right. And how many can I have? How you said it was
So,
what?
so you can have 2 novice and 1 adept, or 5 novice. And I mean, and the only thing I can think of, James, because within this game is, so for example, treasure hunter. Granted, you could be just a sellsword type thing, like you're good at hunting treasure and you're acquiring the knowledge, but you may have a patron who is providing you the maps and everything or whatever. But that's the suggestion within the game. So, but yeah, it's definitely, feel free to swap stuff out. I mean, it's, if you want to be an equestrian, you're good at riding horses as you're hunting for treasure, go right ahead.
Tales of Equestria, did you say?
No, I did not.
And this goes in the abilities, yeah? Ability section, right?
Yep.
Do we get a racial trait in addition to?
No, I think you have to buy it as normal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, one of the things about being a Templar is that I don't have suggested things, I have required things.
Yeah, because that's the advanced player's guide. Yes,
Yeah.
You're going to see different things for those in the advanced player guide than in the core rule book.
The required ones, we have to take them, right?
Required means you need to take them. Yes.
All of them or just some of them?
I think all of them, unless it says all.
Yeah, because there's appropriate abilities, and then if it says required, you would need to fall under the required.
Yeah. So I have to take four required abilities.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Oh, well, that means you got to take 5 novices, then, don't you?
Yeah, we have to.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I've done mine.
Okay.
So I took acrobatic at adept, I took alchemy at novice, and I took tactician at novice.
I just need to pick. Just
What the fuck are boons?
So boons is a new category. Even if it existed implicitly in the core rulebook, the traits, contacts, and bushcraft now become boons instead. They're more limited in their use for abilities and more suited for problem solving when compared to the combat-oriented abilities. So, okay, yeah, so you could have traits, boons, burdens, abilities,
Right,
I
cool.
believe. And mystical traditions, and yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm still looking. I'm looking something up here. So
Anything on that traits and abilities tab counts as the limits of 5 novices or whatever you take.
Well, once everyone's picked and said what they've picked, then we'll take a break.
Okay, so here we go. Just to quickly recap. So experience. So each challenge in an adventure is going to award you 1 point of experience that can be spent on your abilities, forming the basis of the character's progress and strength and skill. That's in regards to direct rewards.
So if I get one point, that means that I can move from novice to adept, or how does it work?
I'm looking that up because I mean that's I'm glad you asked that, Danny, because it's one of the things that it didn't come across my reading, and
Yeah.
I'm going through the book and it's not standing out in any particular chapter, and in fact there's only 2 references to it within the book, 162 and 172.
Improving your characters on 162.
Yep. Yeah. So as far as rewarding, experience is awarded by the game master after a completed adventure. Experience is traded in for higher levels in the character's abilities or used to purchase new ones. To purchase a new ability at novice level costs 10. There it is. So they don't really have a chart. It's embedded within a paragraph. So to purchase a new ability at novice level is 10 experience points. To increase from novice to adept is 20, and increasing from adept to master is 30.
I also have a question there.
Mm-hmm.
It is, when you go to adept
Mm-hmm.
and not anymore novice, do you keep your novice thingy?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. No,
or
it's
improvement?
progressive.
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so example here, Grumpa the Ogre survives her first adventure and is rewarded with 12 points of experience. To purchase a new ability at novice level costs 10, but Mira decides to save her experience. She already has 5 novice and wants to increase. At another adventure, Grumpa is awarded with an additional 9 to bring the total of 21. She increases one of her abilities to adept level at the cost of 20 experience points, at which she only has 1 point left. So.
Okay. Yep.
And one of the things that J-Wall, did you say that you had the Game Master's Guide?
I have it. I've not read it, but I have it.
Okay, yeah. So I've got the PDF here. I'm going to look through it because there's the other thing that I need to familiarize myself with is awarding experience. I mean, I haven't seen anything in here that gives any really clear idea of what it actually quantifies a point. So. I mean, at the end of adventure, someone got 10 points. Well, what was that adventure? And is 10 points standard, or is it awarded depending on,
The one thing I can see at quick glance into the GM section is if a challenge is of enough importance, if it greatly affects the player's character's chances to achieve their goal by a successful failure,
right,
then it should reward them with a single experience point, even if no success tests were made.
Okay, so perfect. So yeah, so focusing on role playing aspects and not just accomplishments too. So yeah, so there'll be a points awarded for the accomplishments of adventure, but as far as things kind of like other games where you'll get an additional experience if you do something that focuses on your goal of your character or hits other aspects of that. What's a game that does that? Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers does something like that. Where if you've done something that falls under
experience is never. I always hate how much experience. I like the ones where you go like, "Did you do this?" And if the players say yes,
like PBTA,
yeah, and Mutant Year Zero and Forbidden Lands does that sort of like, did you defeat a worthy opponent? And if you say yes, you get to mark experience and stuff. It's a shame it's not. There's not that.
Alien uses the you get story points.
Okay.
If you do your agenda, which we forgot to do when we played Alien, but
yeah, let's not go there.